Hi, Sagittarius. It's Jenny here with your February Tarot horoscope. So we're just going to be drawing a single card from the Salvador Dali Tarot deck for the month of February. The beginning of February is still Aquarius season, and then towards the kind of two-third mark, we're going to be rolling into Pisces season. So we're just going to see what comes up for you today. Trying not to throw cards on the floor. It's always the fun part where I'm always like scared that just nothing's going to come out and it's just going to be me shuffling on video forever. But we're going to be patient and we're going to see what comes out so that I don't stint you on a good card. Because I'm a Sagittarius, so I also want a good card. Gee, I feel like this is the longest it's ever been. So, we're just going to keep shuffling. We're going to ask you how... Cool. There's that one that came out. It's got to come at it sideways here. Okay, here we go, Sagittarius. This is what we got. Awesome. We got the Tower this month. February Tower for Sagittarius. No wonder he was taking a hard time coming out. Okay, here we go. This is what the Tower looks like in this deck. So, it feels kind of like abstract and hard to see what's going on. We have like a big... kind of like a shadow tower up here that looks like the sky, and then down here you could see this sort of smaller tower. It's kind of hard to, the tower itself is kind of indistinct. Lots of clouds up here, kind of upside down moon, and then we have these figures that are falling. This figure is very clearly one of a man, and this figure is kind of, it almost looks more like a sculpture of a person, and the face is indistinct. And then right at the bottom we have this little crutch holding open this crack where it looks like there's a whole new world behind. So this is a very kind of lots going on for this Tower card, and we're gonna see what the Tower's got to say for us for February. Okay, the Tower. Encounter with the Absolute. Two archetypes determine the meaning of this card: the Tower of Babel and Pentecost. The building of the Tower of Babel is a symbol of human megalomania, culminating not only in the destruction of the tower, but also in the Babylonian confusion of tongues. Pentecost is the opposite of the building of the tower. The Holy Ghost descends upon the disciples in the form of a storm and tongues of fire. As they start to talk, everyone hears themselves speaking in their own language. Instead of a confusion of tongues, this event symbolizes the tearing down of all language barriers. Babel and Pentecost are two opposite poles. Violence destroys and results in speechlessness and confusion. In contrast, love tears down all language barriers and makes true communication possible without limits. The card cautions you to beware of megalomania and lack of steadfastness. There might be rocky times ahead. You are urged to leave your ivory tower and your personal objections and pretenses behind when the time is ripe. This card also involves jumping out of the clouds and turning the free fall into flying. Practical advice. Go ahead and give it your all. You will gain more love and protect yourself better from danger if you learn consciously to deal with your energy. Risk being more direct. Make a leap into the unknown, even if the consequences are unfathomable. So I love the Tower depiction in this deck, in particular because a lot of people get very doom and gloom on the Tower. It's always like, this is everything you've ever been working on collapsing and everything's the worst and it's all coming down and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just not great. It sort of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when you start being terrified of things collapsing and then you start grasping on things and then it falls down anyway. That's not what this card is about. This card is... It's all about, in this particular instance, it's about listening. It's about language. It's about understanding true communication between others, where we have these two contrasting stories, biblical stories, but the values kind of work no matter what context you're in, of this pride and this feeling that I am the most important and I can get beyond and above everybody. And from that point of pride, you stop listening to other people. If you think you are the one who's right, you are the one who's the best, you no longer have the ability to really empathize with other people and care to listen to others because truly listening to others always has the risk that you might be wrong or that you might have something more to learn. And so it becomes now this confusion of tongues. Everybody's speaking their own language. We no longer know how to work together because it's built on this building of this tower of pride and megalomania. And then we have in this opposite, we have in the story of Pentecost is the Holy Spirit coming down, and suddenly everybody's speaking in tongues and understanding each other no matter where they're from. There's this ability to understand and transcending the language barriers, and that is really this empathy, this compassion for others, this not diminishing of the self as in making it less important, but diminishing of the walls that separate you from me. So myself, my sense of self, it's not that it gets diminished and subsumed, it's that it gets expanded in. And so you become my sense of self. When I think of me, I think of you at the same time. And then there are no more barriers, and we're no longer confused, and we can understand each other and communicate and listen in like a blessedly healing way that got torn apart when we in pride elevated ourselves above each other. So it's this full beautiful story. So you can be anywhere on this tower storyline. Maybe in your life you're in the building up of a tower phase that actually needs to come crashing down because think you or others around you, there's this separation that's happening that's built in this both this pride and megalomania, or this fear of being insignificant, this fear of not being seen, fear of being trampled over. So you're going to build this tower so that you can feel safe and big and comfortable, so you never have to be afraid again. Whatever that purpose for building that tower might be, that could be where you're at right now. It could be where other people are at around you. This is a major arcana card. So this means this is energy that's at work in a large scale. So not just you. It's probably happening kind of more in the collective. And it's also not, can also be a longer term energy. So this might be something that's happening for you, but like as a larger story. It's not just something that's going to resolve right away. So you could be, anywhere, swept up in other people's towers, and people just aren't listening, and suddenly there's just so much confusion and anger and fear and hatred and lines being drawn and people fighting because they've stopped learning how to talk and listen. That could be happening around you, or you could be anywhere in that stage up to a point where you have an opportunity to really, really listen and try to bring that healing back in your own life or community. But the really difficult thing is if we built up a tower of pride and megalomania, we have to take it down, which means we have, in order to get to that ability to really truly listen and empathize with other people, you have to face your own issues of pride. And as a Sagittarius, you may be very firm in your beliefs in terms of one of the Sagittarius archetypes is indeed the quest for truth, the philosopher, the person who really wants to know what's right and what's true. And that's a really, really beautiful quest. But if it is linked up with too much pride, then it becomes the feeling that your search for the truth is over. You have the truth and you know what's right, and then you stop being curious. And so the dark side of Sagittarius is being like, well, I know everything right. I've got the answers because I've worked so hard to find them, so I must have them by now. And then that really, really strong fixation on dogma. Not just that I believe this, but I believe everybody should believe it. And I'm really mad at you if you don't believe it. And I'm not going to listen to what you believe because it's not what I believe. That can be this really dark Sagittarius energy. And it's that dark tower where the tower might be the pride of whatever kind of belief systems that you're building yourself on. If you're building your belief systems to elevate yourself above others and not listen and are afraid that listening to something else means your tower is going to shake, well, that's the kind of tower that really does need to come crashing down. And so if you find this month that there is this sort of calamity shaking thing, if you can really welcome that as, oh, wow, this tower maybe wasn't built on something correct. Or, wow, actually, maybe I did start to close myself off from listening to others. Maybe I really have stopped truly examining my beliefs and facing with courage the fact that I might be wrong, or that I just might be time to learn new things. I maybe not even be about right and wrong, but just the old season and the new season, where things just aren't as valuable at certain times, and just letting that natural flow kind of go along. But there also may be just other, like, you may be in around a lot of other people, everybody standing on their tower, especially in the world right now. There's clearly a lot of very strong polarization and divide and intense belief systems, and people just getting very, very agitated for what they believe and when they think other people are telling them what to believe. So you don't have to look very far to see that around in the world. And one thing that can be really, really tempting is to try to get into the stage of convincing other people that, oh, they would see the truth if they just knew this one thing. Oh, they would understand my side of things if I could just explain it better. Or, well, I'm just going to need to like soldier on and just keep convincing them of the truth, and one day they'll get it. When really this is about listening. This is about receiving. Communication starts with listening, and nobody's going to listen to you if you haven't started listening to them. So it's so tempting to come in with our arrows of truth and the Sagittarius charge and just be like, I just have to reach them, and project what I know to them, instead of being receiving, which is that people cannot hear if they do not feel like they are heard. They are not going to listen to you if they don't think you are listening to them. And why should they listen to you if you're coming in with a strong agenda, to just really kind of, scoop them up onto your tower, instead of come down and try to actually embrace each other and listen. Listening does not ever mean you have to agree with them, which also is, if you expect someone to listen to you, you can't expect them to agree with you just because they're listening to you. That's not honest. That's a double standard. That's coming in with an agenda, and it's fine to have a goal. And if you truly believe something, then I can understand the fervor that you really hope to convince people, especially if there's really high stakes of risk to people's well-being. But it is not an effective way to convince people through aggression, or convince people from your megalomania tower. So yeah, this really is this invitation to leap off the tower. Yes, these people look like they could be falling, but this is also all of these pictures of the clouds, the sky up here. I just think of the movie Toy Story, where Buzz and Woody are kind of fighting over what it means to be flying, and they're saying that's not flying, it's falling with style. And in a way, that's kind of what this could be. If the tower is collapsing, well, you could resist it and then get crushed in the rubble, or you could leap. You might just be falling with style, but at the very least, like, you may also catch air, and you really might fly with that. So this whole, as the card is saying, make a leap into the unknown, even if the consequences are unfathomable. Try to slow down here. I get really excited about this card every time it comes up. So I'm just going to pair back into the astrology here. So the beginning of February is Aquarius season. So this energy, this tower energy, feels really connected to that Aquarius energy, because Aquarius is very much about, it's an air sign, so it's about thought, and thinking and learning, and it's a fixed air sign, so it's also can be like, what are the thoughts and beliefs that you hold on to fixedly in your mind, which can be pro or con. It can be the bedrock of your belief systems, the truths that you hold, that are not shaken. It's those fixed beliefs, but that can also be dogmatic, the things that you really resist other people questioning, or coming up against other people's really fixed beliefs. So fixed air signs are not really the most convincible. So Aquarius, everybody's kind of like, they've got their beliefs and they're trying to like not be restricted. Aquarius energy does not like being trapped, being held down. It's trying to burst free and go to the next level. So if everybody around us is like, we've got our fixed beliefs and we're trying to bust free, that kind of energy is like, yeah, this tower shaking as everybody's either holding on to their megalomania or their pride or their fear or their beliefs, but it's all coming down anyway. That's sort of this in this February, beginning of February Aquarius vibe. And then once we roll into Pisces, the invitation, Pisces is all about dissolving the barriers between you and me. It's all about being able to feel and hold the collective energy as your own, and realizing that I really, though I am, yes, an individual being, I am not separate from those around me. I am still a part of my community. And actually, we should be able to listen and understand each other. So that's sort of this, maybe let the tower fall down, and then we can all be caught in this listening and this held compassion and this ocean of listening and bringing the language barriers down and the communication, getting it to flow again. So that's kind of towards the end of February is when we're really, really invited to be in that compassionate listening, because there's going to be a lot of people, and maybe you as well, that are going to feel a bit bruised as that tower collapses, especially if they held on to the very last end. It's going to be a lot of bruised egos. There can be a tendency once the tower collapses, if you don't have that ability to really listen, or if people do not feel like they are listened to just immediately build that tower back up again, to protect themselves, to bring themselves out of that kind of crushed ego, to say, this time I'll build it better. So we really need to make sure that we catch ourselves and we catch those around us with the compassionate embrace of being willing to listen, while at the same time still holding to your beliefs. Listening does not mean condoning. Listening to people who maybe have violent ideas does not mean condoning the violence. It means listening to what put them in the first place to be in that violent state. What was the unmet need? What was the fear? What was the trauma? What was the root? Nobody starts out a horrible villain. Nobody does that. But they're after years and so much time of being unheard, of having that little core wounded part fester and not actually be heard, that's when all of that crap happens. So you can not condone any sort of bad, negative, violent behavior and still really listen to people, and that's the best way to heal that, so those towers don't get built up again. So that I'm gonna have to stop now, because I'm gonna go on forever with this card. So congrats, Sagittarius, way to go us. Looks like we are getting to deal with this tower energy, and again, this is collective as well with this one, so lots of people are going to be dealing with this. It's just, the invitation for you to really be eyes open about it in your own life, and then potentially be a leader and a support of those around, and really just encourage the kind of truth that comes from listening, instead of standing on that soapbox, because it's kind of crashed down anyway. Okay, Sagittarius, looks like we got our work cut out for us. Have a wonderful February. Best of luck.